General Grievous, the leader of the droid army and probably the coolest villain ever seen on screen. I went all out with this minifigure and added a lot of detail, and this video took over 40 hours to make, so I hope you enjoy and please subscribe for all of my effort. So this figure was started about 3 weeks ago, I'd like to say, and the majority of the time was obviously making the raw sculpt and making all the 3D elements. Now originally I was going to have 4 arms, but then looking back at the Clone Wars, he never really does use 4 arms in the Clone Wars, and obviously it makes it a lot easier and a lot less work just to do 2 arms, so he has 2 arms and that's how it's going to be. I do still think that he looks pretty cool though. First thing we're going to look at is the cape. Now the cape was really just a throw-in thing at the end, which I just made quickly, because in the Clone Wars he's not really wearing his cape most of the time. It's really only Revenge of the Sith that we see him in his cape much, so I've just made this for a kind of throw-in, I suppose. It's just a normal black Lego cape with some parts glued together and things. There's some painting on the back, and there's also a piece of red fabric on the inside, because General Grievous' cape has the red on the inside and the black or dark grey on the outside. With the cape gone, you can see there is quite a lot of detail on the back, kind of getting covered up by the cape, so I might not actually display him with his cape on all the time, but he's still got the cape anyway, just in case, and you can see a better look at the design there. The first thing I really considered about this minifigure was I decided that I needed to have some really cool movement so he could be in cool positions, and just so it would be even more complicated, because I wanted to spend a lot of time in this minifigure and just make it as impressive as I could. First thing here is the hips, so obviously they've got ball joints and everything, so that can go forwards and backwards, and you can actually see the ball joints here. So the way I did that was I started with a standard Grievous torso. Then I got rid of the parts which attach the legs, then I made a massive hole through the whole thing, and then put the ball joints in, and then obviously made the legs so they could accommodate for the ball joints. Same with the arms, I did the exact same thing for the shoulders. The only movement is in the neck, the hips and the shoulders. There was going to be a bit more movement in the legs, but in the end I decided that would just be too hard and would make it even more fragile, and it's already pretty fragile as it is. Here you can see the head moving up and down. This is just using one of the Lego leather pieces without the ball part at the top. I used the ball part for one of the ball joints instead, of course. This is also obviously encased in lots of green stuff sculpting, and there's a fair amount of detail around it. Then you can finally see the movement on the arms. Now on the arms and the legs, there's definitely one arm which kind of goes on better and doesn't fall off as much, but that's kind of fine, I don't really mind. I mean, I'm going to really be just putting him in one position, leaving him like that. I may even make a little case to go around him so nothing can touch him, because he is a pain to have to rebuild and put back in his position. The sculpting work was fairly hard. I had to do some things a few times. The arms in particular were a bit annoying with the ball joints accommodating to go around them, so the socket part I suppose. The head was also done with a normal Lego General Grievous head, but obviously the part which attaches to the normal General Grievous body was taken off, and that part was inserted instead to go into that joint in the torso. I then sculpted over it a lot, so now there's some parts which are more 3D and everything. Then there's a fair amount of paint work, especially in the eyes. I think I used some brown, yellow and orange in the eyes, and then obviously a black as well for the pupils. I think that worked out really well. The main colours on this figure are obviously just the tan and the silver, and there's not much else, so he might look a bit plain, but I think I couldn't really have done much more, because that really is what he is. For the lightsabers, I obviously had to make custom lightsabers. Now in my head at the time I was thinking Grievous has 4 lightsabers, so I made 4 lightsabers. But then I realised I'm only doing with 2 arms, so he only needs 2 lightsabers. So I've got them for just other Jedi minifigures one day hopefully. But the 2 which I thought were the best was the one which looks kind of like Obi-Wan's, because he does have a lightsaber which looks like Obi-Wan's, the one that looks like Anakin's. Then the other ones look like a bit like Qui-Gon Jinn's, I think it is. I think that's kind of where I got my inspiration from, because I couldn't really find much reference pictures for his lightsabers, so I kind of had to be a bit creative with them. Overall, just absolutely really happy with how this figure turned out. Spent really long on him. This is probably the longest I've ever spent on a single video. Next week will be the full Clone Wars project showcase. I don't know how many minifigures we got up to, but it's definitely well over 10. So that's going to be a pretty big video, so please go and check that out when that's out. It's going to be pretty cool. But that is it for the video. I hope you enjoyed. Hope you like this minifigure, because I think he's really cool. I haven't actually seen many people do this before, so I'm really happy with it. Just thought I'd quickly mention there is also a video which is dedicated to just the sculpt, so how I made the actual 3D elements, so go and check that out. There's a card on screen right now and a link in the description below. So thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe to see the rest of this project, I suppose, and more projects in the future, and goodbye.